Yeah, like
Coming here, we're like
vibe style.
Cynthia over all the same color. I'm 5 well-rounded. Do you
Okay,
work I think make room but so positive and easygoing are the do you 10 years we don't care about any size have somebody that
vibe.
you can know there's more space Cynthia I am but I'm a dreamer on my bike we just wanna dance
Especially because
work I think make room but so positive and easygoing are the color.
is it hard?
So positive and easygoing are the dance. Make more light. So positive and easy-going are there for do you? So positive and easy-going are the dance. Make more light. So positive and easy-going are there for do you? Guys, do you? Do you? Coming here, we're like
Vibe style.
Cynthia over all the same color. I'm 5 well-rounded. Do you
Okay,
work I think make room but I'm a dreamer. Do you? In 10 years we don't care about any place somebody that
vibe.
you can know there's more things Cynthia I am but I'm a dreamer on my bike we just wanna dance
Especially because
work I think make room but I'm a dreamer color.
is it hard?
Nice.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another DaraChat. My name is Daramos, or Dara for short, because obviously I've got to shorten it because some people English language not so good. You can unmute yourself now, by the way, Miss Jen. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. And yourself?
Good. What? Hey, Fatal, what's going on? I got some fortunate news. I'll no longer be posting financial content. What happened? What happened? Your financial freedom. What happened? Oh, he'll tell us later. But anyway, it's so glad to have the wonderful Jen back. Obviously, it's been a while because she is life just gets busy, and when you have had on over 300 various people, yeah, that happens too. So there you go. It's nothing against Jen. Obviously, she's a lovely person. It's just I got real busy. All right, and then the holidays came, and then I said I'm not doing this anymore for now, and then I came back. Oh my goodness. But anyway, you were saying you were in a tizzy today.
Yeah, well, yes and no. That has quite a bit of backstory, actually. A
Oh.
lot of backstory. Um, no, this year has been absolutely crazy. It's been a wonderful year, though.
Yeah.
Pretty much over here back in January. Well, technically back in December of last year,
Mm.
I got I was invited to President Trump's inauguration.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that was really that was a lot,
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
to process is what it
Yeah.
was. Still is. And but I didn't go. I decided
Oh.
not to go due to what's going on.
You just let me know about something. It's all right. Thank you for that, Fatal. Sorry to hear that though. But no, you didn't go. Why was that?
The security concerns and everything, and so much getting moved around, and
Mm.
it was just a lot of logistic stuff.
Mm.
And I was given a little bit too much of a hard time, just about the security concerns primarily, and
Yeah.
I didn't go. But a friend of mine from Alabama who actually helped me get my daughter back from
Nice.
CPS.
Mhm.
Um, she was at the inauguration and
Mhm.
visiting the area in DC, and
Mhm.
she wanted to meet, so we got together and while she was in DC, and we kind of talked for a little bit.
Mhm.
And she essentially what she does or did at that time was she was volunteering and lobbying in DC.
Ooh.
Essentially, she's the woman who wrote articles on when my daughter was kidnapped by CPS. And what she
Right.
does is lobby on behalf of families and children who've gotten their children or who where the children were taken by CPS
Mhm.
under fraudulent circumstances.
Right.
So we get there and I'm talking to her and she convinces me to start lobbying in DC with their group.
Mhm.
Um, and that April, I did my first lobby trip in DC, which apparently went very well.
Nice.
And I've pretty much been lobbying in DC since. And then just a lot happened. I was making a lot of good waves in DC. Pretty much what I would do is I went to the various congressional offices and I would go in and I would kind of tell them a little bit about my history, how
Right.
I was adopted as an infant by
Mhm.
a couple who sold me throughout my childhood,
Mhm.
and how I've been to Epstein Island and multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child.
Right.
And I go into how, my daughter was abducted by CPS in retaliation for me going forward.
Right.
All drug tests came back negative, but CPS still said, open a substance exposed newborn case and told me that if I didn't stop posting on social media, that
Mhm.
I'd never see my daughter again.
Mm.
So I would tell them about how she was placed in foster care with her paternal grandparents,
Mm.
who then became best friends with my father, who raped and sold me throughout my childhood, and
Mm.
she started showing symptoms of enduring similar abuse.
Mm.
Um, and it was at that point that I put together that if I was adopted as an infant and trafficked among Epstein's ilk, how many other children who've been through the CPS foster and adoption industries have gone through something similar.
Right.
And I'll tell them about how this upset CPS and they essentially extorted my husband into filing a police report against me.
Mm.
I spent about 2.5 years political prisoner, with all charges essentially dropped.
Mm.
And my daughter was in foster care. She was raped and molested in foster care for about 5.5 years.
Mm.
Um, she's home now, but essentially, I'm in DC for two reasons.
Right.
One is to build attention to the way Child Protective Services is intentionally taking children from good situations and placing them in situations where they'll be harmed.
Mm.
And the second reason is when I was a child, I witnessed high profile individuals be forced to do things they did not want to do under threat of harm for themselves and their loved ones.
Mm.
The other reason why I'm there is I'm hoping to build bridges between the survivors and the people who were essentially blackmailed. I'm hoping that we can come together for legal and prosecutorial reasons,
Mhm.
name the people who forced us into those situations,
Right.
get transparency, accountability. And the people who forced us to these situations also happen to be the same people orchestrating much of the corruption we see today.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that if we come together, we can name the people who forced us, get
Mhm.
transparency, accountability, and free us all.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of progress made on this front in DC.
Mm.
Which people have been very receptive to coming together to exposing the fraud.
Right.
um but there's also the bill that we've been lobbying for, the Advocates for Families Act, Bill 5647, has been introduced to committee.
Mhm.
So it's going to be reviewed by committee before potentially being introduced to Congress, which I'm very
Nice.
excited about. And then there's also, let's see, sorry. Eh, sorry.
No, you're right.
And then there is also So, I mean, that's pretty much what I started doing back in April. It's progressed to the point now where I bring folders with me, and as I'm telling, the representative or the congressperson, what happened,
Right.
um, I'm essentially showing them, corresponding paperwork. And there's another project that I'm working on where a friend of mine, Bailey Templeton.
Mm.
She's running for Congress in Illinois. The
Nice.
first lady who I mentioned who got me into lobbying is Terry LaPointe.
Mm.
She's running for Congress down in Alabama. Um,
Okay.
Bailey and I are primarily Bailey, but Bailey's kind of nudged me to kind of work on it too,
Mm.
is sending out FOIA requests to get FOIA information on numbers on children in foster care to find out what's funding a lot of this corruption.
Right.
Essentially, the issue with Bailey was that her case is monstrous too,
Right.
unfortunately. But realistically, what are these CPS cases aren't? So essentially, what happened with Bailey was that her son was diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
And she had the audacity to ask for a second opinion.
Right.
This was unacceptable to Illinois, and CPS came in, took her son,
Mm.
put him through dozens of rounds of chemotherapy. He
Mm.
was in foster care or locked. He's an 8-year-old boy, I believe 8 or 9 years old at this point.
Right.
He was locked up in the hospital for 123 days,
Mm.
and they amputated his leg.
Mm.
Guess what? No
What?
cancer.
Mm. Mm-mm. Nope. No, that's rough.
Mhm, mhm. So, essentially, they wanted to try an experimental uh, amputation thing on her son,
Mm.
and she didn't want to try it, and then they took her son because of it.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, so, anyway, she had this brilliant idea of trying to figure out, why. Why are these hospitals doing this? Why are they, taking these children? Why are they medically abusing them? Et
Right.
cetera, et cetera. And she had the brilliant idea. One second.
And then there was her. Yeah.
To do a bottle flip.
Uh-oh.
The flip bottle where she's able to get it to land, properly. She
Yeah.
to accomplish a bottle flip, so now she's all excited. I apologize.
Nice. No, you're fine. That's the awesome
Um,
stuff right there.
yeah, yeah, I love those, Anyway, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
So, essentially, what Bailey discovered via FOIA-ing the medical numbers is she discovered that in Illinois,
Mhm.
in 2020, I believe it was, Illinois spent roughly a little under 2.5 million on Medicaid, medical numbers, et cetera, et cetera,
Hmm.
on children in foster care. So it's about 2.5 million. And in 2021, that went up to over 250 million.
Interesting. It's crazy.
So I've been also kind of presenting those numbers to Congress as well.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's so that's also been a lot of what I've been working on. And it's been really very, very successful. A lot of progress on that front.
Hmm.
Things got really wild over the summer. Very,
Okay.
very interesting. Yeah, yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, I mean, you've been a busy lady for quite some time, though. But I mean, that's something you've been aiming for quite some time. Even when the last time we were in here, you were pretty busy then, just trying to. What was it? I think you were in courts, for your daughter at that point, and it was obviously it's not an easy ordeal, especially with how you were treating stuff. So hey, and Jim.
No, no, it's definitely not. And unfortunately, the people who don't want me talking are still, well, the last time I was in court was actually I was bringing a case against CPS and against the state of Maryland for what they did for my daughter to also try and get investigations for what they're doing to children, across the state, but
Right.
obviously hoping to use it as precedent to help across the country.
Mhm.
Um, and I started actually going out to events to build awareness to these subjects. And,
Right.
I'm still in courts now, but for a different reason, and I'm about to go into courts again for a different reason.
Right.
But essentially, I've most recently another side project I'm working on. It just keeps piling up. Uh, Another side project I'm working on is essentially um, so I see. Well, okay, so so since roughly, gosh, end of 2021, September of 2021.
Right.
I started seeing a therapist,
Mhm.
and she's wonderful. I like her, but she's somewhat new. She when I started seeing her, she was an intern, and she's
Mm.
not comfortable talking to me about my past. She's
Mhm.
comfortable talking to me about my present, and
Right.
that's fine. I completely understand. I get that. She went on maternity leave
Mhm.
in December of 2023.
Mhm.
And I started looking for somebody to talk to. One who would be comfortable talking to me about my past,
Right.
and two, to talk to, while my therapist was on maternity leave.
Right.
I was seeing, a temporary therapist, but it just, I still wanted to find somebody I was comfortable talking to about my childhood as well.
Right.
So in January of 2024, I
Mhm.
started seeing a life coach, and um, she wanted me to do something I was not comfortable with.
Mhm.
Um, Essentially, she wanted me to write my traumas down in a journal
Right.
and then burn the journal while making a ritual out of it.
Mm.
And I told her I wasn't comfortable doing this.
Mhm.
Um, Pretty much, I do what is pretty much very similar to Reiki, which is energy work and stuff like that. Bless you.
No, thank you.
Um,
Man.
oh, you muted it. You muted it. I saw you do it. So I was just,
I got it this time.
um, but I do what is, like Reiki energy work, energy healing, stuff like that. And
Mhm.
I felt very uncomfortable doing what I felt was essentially a dark energy spreading ritual. I didn't feel comfortable burning my trauma journal and making a ritual out of it.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't feel appropriate.
Yeah.
So I told her I wasn't going to be doing that, and she dropped me as a client.
Right. Mm.
Well, and that was in March of 2024. So I was seeing her less than 2 months, 3 months ish, roughly.
Right.
Well, I, you know, barely spoke to her after that. A couple of maybe one or two, one respectful exchange or one message via DM and no response and whatever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until June of 2025, which is over a year later,
Right.
after she dropped me as a client. So I told her I wasn't going to be doing that, and she dropped me as a client
Mhm.
in March of 2024.
Right.
June of 2025, I go to an event in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, an
Nice.
anti-child trafficking event.
Right.
Well, let me back up slightly. So, I started lobbying in DC in April, and it was really weird. Um, okay, so in June, I ended up meeting with who I thought not, I'm sorry, yeah, June 3rd. June 3rd,
Right.
um, I believe. It was either the 3rd or the 4th.
Mhm.
I ended up meeting with somebody who, when I met with him, I thought he was a whistleblower, which
Right.
he is. But he ended up being somebody who actually uh, is friends with and volunteer and works with President Trump's administration.
Right. Right.
And that was that was a day.
Right.
Um, so I go there to meet with him, and you know, he wants to hear about, my history, the CPS links,
Mm.
all that kind of stuff, and um, see if he can do something with it.
Right.
So we get to DC. We meet at there's like a little restaurant thingy, so we meet at the hotel restaurant,
Mm.
and he kind of asks a couple of questions about my history and
Right.
all that kind of stuff, and I tell him, and he says that he has some friends that would be interested in hearing, about my story. Would I be willing to speak with them?
Right.
Sure, anything we can do to get this information out there, because it's not my story. It's, my story is one of God knows how many other families and children who have gone through something similar.
Mhm.
So it's not my story. It's the information. It's all the other stories. So if we can use it as a springboard to get these other families help, then
Right.
yes. Um, so he's like, okay, follow me. And he takes me and somebody who I thought was a friend at the time, but ended up not being a friend. Long
Mm.
story there.
Right.
Um, Up to into the restaurant inside. We go inside the restaurant, sit at a table, and there's about 10 to 12 people there already
Mhm.
at a table, and they're asking, my story, the other young woman's story who's with
Mm.
me. Um, and and they're like, okay, well, we have an appointment to meet with President Trump at the White House.
Nice.
I think it was like at 11 or whatever. Are you going to be in DC for a while? If you're going to be in DC, would you be willing to meet after we meet with President Trump?
Mhm.
It's like, oh, yeah, of course, we'll stay. Um, so we stayed in DC for about an hour, and um, they get out of the meeting. And one
Mhm.
second, please.
Yeah, don't choke while you're talking.
Yeah, sorry.
You're right.
Um, and they finish their meeting,
Mm.
and we meet up with them again with about, I want to say, about 4 to 6 people remained at the end of that, after the meeting. I met
Nice.
up with them,
Mhm.
including the whistleblower, and the whistleblower, made skeptical as per usual.
Mhm.
Um, he's texting a bunch of people and stepping away, making phone calls, coming back, asking questions,
Right.
texting people, making phone, like it's pretty clear what's going on, that he's talking to other people and asking questions on their behalf and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. So so come to find out, he scheduled a short notice meeting with a congressional representative, Representative
Oh.
Darren LaHood,
Mhm.
for 5:30 that afternoon,
Right.
which is after hours,
Mhm.
which is, unusual for a congressional representative to make such a short notice meeting for after hours with somebody.
Yep.
Um, so that's, in my head, that's like, okay, let's see if that happens.
Mhm.
We hang out for, a couple of hours, and lo and behold, we go to the and once again, texting, phone calls, stepping away, that whole thing.
Mhm.
Um, and then we go to the congressional buildings, and we meet with Representative LaHood. Um, and then we go to the tunnels underneath. So there are public tunnels underneath the Capitol buildings. Essentially, there's the overall Capitol building, and then on one side is the House side, one side is the Senate side.
Right.
There are 3 buildings on each side for each side of Congress,
Mhm.
and they connect underneath with a tunnel system that you can use to get to, excuse me, to get from one, from the either the Senate or the House side within the side.
Right.
There is one tunnel underneath the Capitol itself, that connects the two.
Mm-hmm.
The tunnels that are that are the I'm sorry, the ones that are the House side and Senate side
Right.
are public. Once you get
Okay.
into the buildings, you can utilize them if you know how to get there and where they are and everything.
Right.
The one to get under the Capitol, you need to be with somebody credentialed.
Yeah. Understandable. Yep.
So we were able to make it under because we had somebody credentialed with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we were walking under the Capitol, and I asked him just a bunch of questions about a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he told me things freely, freely told me things that I didn't ask for. He volunteered information that I was really shocked that he gave me.
Right.
Um, but and but once again, skeptical,
Mm-hmm.
super, like, okay, that's interesting he said that, but what proof is there?
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, so there's for a while, I don't know if you know about this, but there is a movement, I guess one can call it, the Q movement,
Uh.
essentially formulated around an anonymous poster online
Mm-hmm.
who was coordinating information and stuff. Their posts with President Trump's social media posts and stuff like
Right.
that. Like they were posting within minutes of each other and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So because this guy works with President Trump's social media team,
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, I said, how did you coordinate how did you, as well, so, I'm thinking if this guy is on President Trump's social media team, he might know how they coordinated these drops, with Q,
Mm-hmm.
from a social media team perspective, not a Q perspective, but a social media team perspective, because
Right.
Q Q has always said no private comms, no private communications.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, if I'm asking him from the Trump perspective and not the Q perspective,
Right.
maybe I'll get answers.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember exactly what order I asked this in, so I apologize.
No, you're fine.
But I said some derivative of so you're on President Trump's social media team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's like, yeah. And I was like, how long have you been on President Trump's social media team? And he said either 2015 or 2016. I don't remember exactly which year it was.
Right.
And Q started posting in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately I'm like, okay, well, that means that he's, was there when the Q, if what he's saying is true, he
Right.
was there when the Q's team started dropping. So
Mm-hmm.
then he would know how they coordinated the timing.
Right.
Um, and I said to him, um, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand if you can't give me an answer. Just tell me you can't give me an answer. Don't bullshit me. Don't lie to me.
Right.
I understand if you can't answer, just don't bullshit me. That's all I
Right.
ask. And I said to him, how did you coordinate? I asked him, how did you, as a member of President Trump's social media team,
Mm-hmm.
how did you coordinate the deltas with the Q team?
Mm-hmm.
And his response was because we were working with them.
Right.
And I kind of went into a state of shock at this point. I asked him a couple of more questions, trying to not break into full blown hysterics.
Right.
Um, we make it out of the tunnel, and at this point, I'm kind of in shock. So, we get up and we sit down. One of the little areas near the tunnel, there's like a railing, but not really railing that you can sit on.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down in the grass to kind of just try and take a few breaths. And as I'm sitting in the grass crying, um, two helicopters that I've never seen before, start flying across the DC skyline.
Oh.
And now this stands out to me for a plethora of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, in order for anything to fly over DC, especially the capital area, there needs to be very, very, very high level of clearance.
Right. Yep.
So, and also in the Q community, twos is like a degree of confirmations. We see that, as like, just a pattern confirmation type of thing.
Right.
And then these were two helicopters granted, I don't know much about helicopters and military stuff and all that kind of stuff. So
Sure.
let me preface this with that.
Right.
But I had never seen helicopters like this before. They were
Mm.
very, very, very different.
Mm.
And I'm kind of sitting on the grass, just trying to calm myself. And I hear, the people I'm with talking about the helicopters.
Mm.
Essentially, and once again, forgive me, I don't know much about helicopters.
Mm.
But oh, those are those are such and such helicopters. No, those aren't such and such because such and such has this and that features, and those have these features, and I've never seen those features before. Those are
Right.
brand new. I've never seen anything like that.
Mm.
So at this point, I hear the conversation, and I'm like, okay, time to pull out my phone.
Yeah.
And I take a video, and like I'm still sniffling, from crying at the beginning of the video. And so I finish recording the video, and I go to show the person who I went to DC with, the video, and tell her a little bit about the with the helicopters and what they meant.
Mm.
And a friend that I had made uh a few months prior, back in April, I'm sorry, not April, March,
March. Okay.
or I should say, who reached out in March, who works with the White House, texted me at the exact same time those two helicopters were going over. I go
Mm.
to show her the video, and I see that I have text from this person who works with the White House.
Right.
Um, and it's not just a text from the person who works with the White House.
Mm.
The text bugged, and it sent the exact same text twice in a row.
Mm.
At the
Okay.
exact same time, these two brand new helicopters were flying over very restricted airspace.
Right. Yep. Interesting.
So at this point, I'm done. At
Yeah.
this point, I'm like, get me home. I can't handle this anymore. Get me home.
Right.
Um, the social media person is like, well, I've never been behind the White House before. I've been in the White House multiple times. I've never been behind the White House. Let's go behind the White House and let's walk
Mm.
around. I'm like, no, no, I'm sorry. I can't handle anymore.
Right.
So, so I went home,
Mm.
and I think I cried. I don't remember.
Mm.
I and they, so, before we leave, they ask us to come back the next day.
Mm. Right.
So, we come back in the next day, and as we are heading in, like, gosh, 15, so they have us, President Trump's social media person, his name is Shane,
Mm.
has us meet at Ford's Theater.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Which is where President Lincoln was shot.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so about 15 minutes or so before we get there, we're texted
Mm.
that plans have changed. He has to make an important phone call,
Mm.
and that, he'll get back to us later.
Right.
So we reroute from Ford's Theater to just this little restaurant that we had kind of established as a bit of a home base.
Right.
And we kind of sit there, and we get there, and gosh, we get settled. And the next thing I know, Elon Musk is making those posts about how President Trump is in the Epstein files.
Mm. Oh, I see. Yeah, I
Um,
remember that. Yep.
which I saw, and I'm somewhat well versed on the Epstein files. My response is, yeah, We know he's in the Epstein files. He was working with investigators. We know he was working with investigators. He's in the Epstein files as one of the only people who was willing to talk to work with investigators. There was a situation where Jeffrey Epstein had assaulted, I believe it was the daughter of a worker at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, and
President Trump found out about it
mhm,
and kicked Epstein out and
mhm.
and helped investigators with with Epstein, with that case and whatever else he knew about Epstein.
Right, yep.
So we already know that he's in the file as somebody who was working with and helping investigators and helping with the investigation. Duh, we know this.
Mhm.
But you know, considering everything that had just happened the day before, and then being sent to Ford's Theater, and then within an hour, Elon's posting about the Epstein stuff. My mind is like, okay, well, there's something more going on here.
Right.
Um, so essentially, plans ended up being canceled because everything starts blowing up about Trump Epstein because Elon.
Mhm,
Um, and um, and essentially, plans got canceled. We go home,
mhm.
and then on that Saturday, I'm going to an anti-child trafficking event up in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Um, I get to this event in Pittsburgh, and I'm just kind of sort of doing my thing that I do when I lobby in DC. At this point, I didn't have folders, but essentially what I did was I kind of went around to the vendor tables that were at the event and
Oh.
kind of told them a little bit about my work in DC, my lobby work, how I'm trying to build bridges to try and hold these orchestrators accountable, and try and and link the CPS foster adoption industries to trafficking children to Epstein's ilk.
Mhm,
So I get there, and the uh, the police approach me with their hands on their sidearms,
mhm.
telling me that due to one of the vendors feeling threatened due to prior engagements, it had been requested that I leave the premises.
Mm.
And the only vendor that I knew of at the time was my former life coach, who I had nothing but respectful and courteous engagements with.
Right.
But whatever, it wasn't worth making an argument out of it. It wasn't worth making it a fight.
Right.
I left,
Yep.
we left. And after I leave, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm d texting, DMing, I'm trying to, asking in chat rooms what's going on, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. And a couple of chat rooms I'm in starts blowing up with people just saying the most nasty and most hateful vitriol,
Yeah.
um, accusing me of bringing child abuse and child trafficking allegations against President Trump, General Michael Flynn, and former and Biden,
Mhm.
um, which I've never done. I've never, seen any of those three abuse or traffic children or harm children in any shape or form whatsoever.
Right.
I've been, and pretty much, I've been trying to spend the last, 7 months at this point, 7, 8 months at this point,
Mm.
trying to clear the names. One, trying to make it very clear that no, I did not see them abuse children,
Mhm.
and trying to clear the whole situation up. Well, during this time period, I found out, I realized that a lot of the people that were essentially, which turned into a whole defamation, gang stalking, harassment campaign,
Mhm.
where people were just essentially gang stalking me on social media and harassing me and stuff like that,
Uh-oh.
lying about my testimony, selectively clipping my words and taking it out of context,
Right.
stuff like that. And the thing is, I've seen the people involved do this to other people before.
Mm.
The life coach I was seeing, was the vendor, come to find out she was the one who was lying about my testimony.
Mm.
Um, and so come to find out, it was her lying about my testimony.
Mhm.
Um, So essentially, I found that, I realized that they had done this to other survivors, but this life coach
Mm.
specifically specializes in vulnerable and disabled individuals. I know she specifically specializes in child trafficking and severe trauma survivors.
Right.
And I've seen people around her and people affiliated with her wage these defamation campaigns, these gang stalking campaigns against other survivors as well,
Mm.
to the point that and I've pretty much been saying, look, this is a pattern. This is happening quite a bit. This should not be happening.
Right.
We need to talk about, essentially, I've been saying, two things. There needs to be retractions, corrections, and apologies, because it is wholly unacceptable for people who claim to be a community of journalists, demanding transparency and accountability, to bring false child trafficking allegations against President Trump, against presidents and generals,
Mm.
and to not have, and to not say, hey, look, oops, fuck, we fucked up, wrong,
Mm.
no, 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 take them back, we're sorry, shouldn't have done that, we were wrong, we made a mistake, my bad.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna portray yourself as a journalist, ethics 101,
Yeah.
make a mistake, you got to retract it, correct it, and apologize.
Mm.
And the second thing is, because I've seen it happen so many other times before, um, we have to have a conversation about how this happened, why, who was involved,
Mm.
what can be done to prevent it from happening again, and most importantly, what can be done to help those who were harmed previously by similar campaigns.
Right.
Um, and, unfortunately, this has been most unacceptable to those involved, obviously.
Mm.
Um, and it unfortunately progressed to the point where the life coach decided that she wanted to file a restraint. So let me, so, I spent the last number of months trying to clear everything up and have that retraction, correction, apology, and that conversation.
Mm.
Well, on October 30th, I went to an event in DC,
Mm.
and I get to the event in DC, and mind you, um, and I get there, I get to the panel room, barely talk to anybody,
Right.
and then security approaches me
Mm.
and tells me that it's been requested that I leave the event.
Interesting.
Well, one of the hosts of the event, General Michael Flynn, came up to me and pretty much asked me why I was there, if I was intending on causing any problems,
Mm.
if I was, if I, if I was going to, just pretty much saying, look, I'm hearing these things being said, and behave yourself, or I'm going to kick you out.
Mm.
That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine, sir. I understand. I respect that.
Mm.
Understood. He sent me downstairs to have my bag searched, which nobody else had, but whatever. I was there with my folders. At this point, I have my folders with all my paperwork showing, essentially the bruises on the back of my daughter's hand after she was removed, the blood work,
Mm.
um, FOIA record, the FOIA, reports, drug test results, etc. Like a bunch of paperwork that I've been handing out in Congress. And I
Right.
was like, General, my primary focus is handing out this paperwork. All I
Mm.
care is building attention to CPS, opening fraudulent cases to traffic children to Epstein's ilk.
Right.
And building bridges and building awareness on that, and building attention to the systemic child trafficking issues that we're dealing with.
Right.
That's all I care about.
Mm.
So I got my bag searched, and I had to have security follow me around at the event for a while.
Mm.
Um, but no problems, no issues, no confrontations, no nothing.
Mm.
And then November 20th, I served a restraining order by my former life coach,
Mm.
saying that when I went to an event in DC
Mm.
where I work, that I was stalking and harassing her when she traveled from South Carolina.
Mm.
She traveled from South Carolina up to my place of work to get me kicked out of this event,
Mm.
and then go back to South Carolina and accuse me of stalking her.
Weird.
So yeah, yeah. Well, unfortunately, once again, we come back to there is a distinct history of this group doing this.
Right.
I've seen them, issue similar restraining orders against other survivors.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them, kick them out of events and all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
unfortunately, what has happened, in prior instances, I'm going to use me an example. What I did was different than
Mm-hmm.
what I've seen happen previously, but I'm going to use me as an example of other people I've seen.
Right.
So let's say a restraining order is filed down in South Carolina. I
Mm-hmm.
live up in Maryland.
Okay.
Most of the people who these people work with or these people are attacking, I should say, are child trafficking survivors, severe trauma survivors. I'm on disability. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be on disability for the rest of my life due to the severity of the abuse that I endured as a child. I do not have the ability to function in modern days in society. I don't. Um, and a lot of us don't. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of us are not formally on disability. I am fortunate enough where I'm able to get on disability, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us do not have the capacity to.
No.
So we can't afford to spend anywhere between $2,500 and $7,500 for an attorney in South Carolina to defend us.
Mm.
Nor do we primarily have the ability to travel. We
Mm-hmm.
can't necessarily afford to travel and to defend ourselves.
Right.
So what typically would happen is they will say, okay, well, I live in Maryland. She lives down in South Carolina.
Right.
I don't plan on going to South Carolina anytime soon.
Right.
So that's fine. They can have the restraining order issued, whatever.
Mm.
Well, the issue is that, not just this person, but a lot of the people, in this particular group, um,
Mm.
have the ability to travel across the country. They work with charitable organizations
Mm.
and they tour slash travel with these charitable organizations at these events
Mm.
to wage these defamation campaigns, these gang stalking and lawfare campaigns. Um,
Mm.
and then what they will do is they will go back around and say, "Oh my gosh, so and so is stalking me, so and so is harassing me. Please help, please help." And then they will utilize the coffers of these charitable organizations to
Mm.
wage these lawfare campaigns because, oh, I'm the victim.
Right.
People, initiating these campaigns are the victim.
Mm.
So they're able to use these charitable organizations to fund this.
Mm.
Essentially, in most, so, they'll, once again, in my case, for example, I live in Maryland, Baltimore County,
Mm.
and I'll typically only go to events in my general vicinity.
Right.
I try to stay in the Pennsylvania, Virginia, DC, Maryland, Ohio-ish, yeah,
Mm.
roughly around where I live. There's no point, I don't want to travel halfway across the country at this point. It's not
Right.
worth it at this
Right.
point. Not at this point.
Mm.
So what will happen is, events will occur near us, and typically we'll go to events near us.
Right.
But unfortunately, because this woman has works for these charitable organizations,
Mm.
she has access to the attendee list. Her and her cohorts and her whatever her friends have access to the attendee lists, and
Right.
they'll tell her, oh, so and so is attending this event, and she and her cohorts will travel from across the country to the event
Mm.
unbeknownst to us to then harass us at these events.
Right.
So the restraining order will be issued
Mm.
and they will travel across the country to harass us at these events, and what they'll do is they'll engage in confrontations,
Mm.
call the police,
Mm.
and demand to press charges and that we be arrested and that their victims slash targets be arrested.
Mm.
Um, so which, for a normal person, that's debilitating. For
Mm.
somebody who's been through severe trauma, child trafficking, et cetera, et cetera,
Mm.
it's, a different level of world shattering. And mind you, on top of this, during their defamation or during their gang stalking campaigns,
Right.
they're making posts on social media trying to encourage people to call child protective services on their targets.
Right.
So, on top of having to deal with these, BS, restraining orders slash lawfare campaigns, we have to deal with them, having their friends call Child Protective Services on us.
Yeah.
Um, once arrested, becomes a lot more complicated when we're dealing with the CPS cases on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very fortunate where I've made enough of a big enough stink here in Maryland that CPS hasn't shown up at my door.
Oh, interesting.
Um, They have not shown up. They have not knocked. They have not called. There has been not a peep from CPS here. And I
Just.
know that there's been quite a few because, for example, I'll talk to my therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and my therapist will ask me, have you heard from the foster mother, from
Right.
one that was abusing Iris? And
Mm-hmm.
she'll ask me, and it's always right around the same time. I'll hear from the foster mother, and then within a week or so, within maybe the next session or two, have you heard from Jill lately?
Mm-hmm.
So, so I'm pretty sure that there are calls being made to CPS,
Mm-hmm.
and then CPS is contacting my therapist, and my therapist is pretty much saying, "Yeah, no, she's stable.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't play the games with her. Don't.
Right.
You don't want to play.
Don't
You know
play.
that's not going to go well for you. You don't want to play."
Mm-mm.
Um, so CPS has not knocked. They have not called. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
However, unfortunately, most of their victims don't typically make as big of a stink as I do and
Right.
don't put the fear of God in their state.
Right.
So, unfortunately, a lot of them will have to deal with CPS removals and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, so, I, went to fight the restraining order. Come to find out, the life coach actually handed me a police report and email where in other words, without going into too many details, essentially, without going into too many details,
Mm-hmm.
um, the plaintiff slash my former life coach was caught lying on the stand, both lying on the stand and to law enforcement. She claimed on the stand that the reason why I was kicked out of the event was due to making vendors feel uncomfortable, that I was harassing them and threatening them and stuff like that. And
Right.
I wasn't. However, what she told police in this email was, quote, quote, Powell, Piper Loomis, and Sweeney all stated that Guskin has disrupted several events in the past and has accused General Michael Flynn, President Biden, and President Trump and others of trafficking her as a child and for sexual abuse. No other incidents occurred.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, these people going around. So, we get to court and she claims one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but on the other, what she's telling police about the reason why I was kicked out was due to these child trafficking allegations that they claimed that I made that I never made.
Right. Yep.
So, which is, the restraining order, despite the fact that I had, we have the plaintiff lying on the stand, we have her lying to law enforcement, we have her, inconsistent testimony at best.
Right.
The restraining order was issued
Mm-hmm.
to not contact her or anything, which I haven't done. Well, 30 minutes before this was supposed to start, I get
Mm-hmm.
a knock on the door from the Baltimore County Sheriff's Office.
Oh.
Apparently, so after literally within hours, I wasn't even out of the Carolinas.
Mm.
And once again, I've seen this happen before where the restraining order is issued, and then within hours, the victim, like the actual victim of the restraining order lawsuit, not the plaintiff, she's not the victim, but the actual victim, the target of the lawsuit,
Right.
then starts receiving threats online,
Hmm.
starts receiving death threats, threats of violence, stuff like that
Mm.
online. So I wasn't even out of the Carolinas before I start receiving death threats online,
Interesting.
which I immediately forwarded to the court and I forwarded to her attorney. And I said, look, just to let you know, I'm receiving death threats that I've never received prior to this.
Mm.
but all of a sudden I'm receiving watch your back, watch your six
Mm,
threats, which means watch your back.
mm,
Another one is, things would just be easier for us if you just went away,
right.
like right after each other. Um, so I send that to the court and I send her to her attorney.
Mm,
And in one of the emails I sent, I said, and this is why I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. Apparently, in her mind, that constitutes as a threat.
mm,
Um, so, and apparently talking about releasing the evidence submissions in the court
mm,
and the recording of the hearing is considered a threat.
right.
So about 30 minutes before we went live, I get a notice of a hearing coming up scheduled for February 10th
Oh, nice.
because yeah, because she's claiming that I threatened her
Hmm.
when I said to her attorney that I'm not going anywhere, and that I threatened her when I said I was going to post the recording of the hearing, which I'm perfectly legally allowed to do, which
Right.
the judge herself said that the hearing that the submissions to the court and everything was eligible for public record. None of it was supposed to be, was none of it was sealed.
Right.
So once they get the recording of the hearing, yeah, I can post it.
Mm. Which is good.
So
Yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
No, it's like which is good because I know you want to get the stuff out there, right? The more attention it is on it, the better awareness you can get. And obviously, this is sort of so even with just your story. I mean, this is stuff that needs to be on notice because it's so. It seems to be a bit rampant in many different places. Because I mean, I think it was the last time I talked to you was with I had mentioned a story I heard from a creator called Megan Fox, and I believe that you had mentioned that you'd heard that or part of that or whatever. And but yeah, I think it's just one of those things where it kind of needs that more attention because obviously not everyone is bad that works within like the CPS or whatever, but there's a big chunk of people that are not for the children and stuff or law or whatever. And so like you've been
Right.
describing, it's been a nuisance really.
Well, and you really hit the nail on the head with that because that heads to the factors right there. One, yes, it is absolutely systemic, widespread, and as I mentioned to you earlier, my story is one of hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
Right.
The only, as far as I'm concerned, the only usefulness of my story is in helping everybody else get their stories out there and helping them get accountability for what happened to them.
Right.
And to your second point about how you're sure that not I agree with you that most of the people that get into CPS, I believe, are genuinely sincerely good people who want to help the children, want to do the right thing, want to give them a safe and caring and loving home that all children deserve.
Right.
But unfortunately, with every race, religion, color, creed, nation, organization, there's
Mm,
going to be the corrupt few who have no problems manipulating, abusing, and taking advantage of the rest of the people to work their way to the top.
right. Yeah.
And, I think that's part of a lot of what I'm, working on in DC is because unfortunately, when a lot of this corrupt few make it to the top, they utilize that system of blackmail and exploitation that I
Hmm.
mentioned to Congress and when I'm lobbying, and bless you. And no, we did not hear. Um, and that's part of what I bring up in Congress as well is that, a lot of these people, either one, walk away, or
Hmm.
two, they get caught up in the blackmail, bribery, and threats, situation. And a lot of them are looking for a way out. The vast majority of them don't want any part of the corruption.
Yeah.
I mean, my my husband's cousins, one of them worked for CPS, and when he realized what was going on there, he left because he wanted nothing to do with it.
Interesting.
So, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the good people are walking away because they don't want anything to do with the corruption.
Right.
And a lot of the people that do stay, unfortunately, end up getting wrapped up in the corruption
Mm.
very far more often than not against their will.
Right. I can't imagine that. bad will or I don't want to say blackmail, but some form of um, hmm,
Mhm.
some form of it is used against people who like you said are there for the kids and all that stuff. But obviously these systems are unchecked, but then you have the question of who's going to check them, and then that usually ends up being the government, which is a whole nother system that's not checked. So you have a problem of leaving the space open for it to be needing to be checked, but who's going to check it and actually audit? And you know what I mean, that's the same thing with people like disappointed in, you know, President Trump's, the current administration's not doing enough to get people thrown in jail or the bad people put away or all this stuff. A lot of people are upset about that. Or as recently with the Dan Bongino stuff, at a certain point, it's just it does feel like a bit of a wash. It really does.
And I understand people's frustration with what they perceive to be a lack of arrests.
Mm,
I have to, respectfully disagree with them on that because there has been tens of thousands of arrests of, yes, maybe not, Hillary Clinton level, people involved,
right.
but we are seeing arrests of people who, are lower down, but, the way that these networks work is that once you cut off one head of the hydra, three more come to take their place. So
Yep.
what we need to do is in regards to these arrests is, excuse me, we need to make sure that we take out these entire networks.
Mm-hmm.
And, even then we recently had the big operation with the extraction of Maduro and taking
Yep.
Maduro out of Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge deal as well. And then we're supposed to supposedly we'll see if they show
Mm-hmm.
Bill and Hillary Clinton are supposed to be testifying or I apologize. I don't know the exact details, but they're supposed to be answering questions before Congress. I believe it's supposed to be tomorrow and the day after.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, on top of the fact that, one, Trump's administration with the DOJ came in, the Civil Rights Division had to clear out at least one third of its staffing due to give you an
Wow.
idea, Bailey, the lady who I told you about previously,
Mm-hmm.
met with people at the DOJ about what happened to her son and about what's happening to children with CPS.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people that she met with ended up are no longer with the DOJ because they did not do their jobs the way they were supposed to.
Right.
So another thing that's going on is that they're trying to clean out a lot of the trash.
Right.
Um, so and that being said, Trump came in, this administration came into a colossal mess.
Right.
We have, I mean, look at the rampant fraud in Somalia. One thing I do want to note is yes, Nick Shirley, brilliant job, love it, fantastic. Worth noting, the FBI was already aware of this. The
Mm-hmm.
DOJ was already aware of this. They were already investigating other centers, and the fact that Nick Shirley was able to bring so much attention to it is the exact thing that we need from actual citizen journalists. We
Right.
need actual citizen journalists like what Nick Shirley did, like James O'Keefe,
Mm-hmm.
actually on the ground getting information out there, talking to people.
Right.
Um, and the DOJ is coming in with knowing about a lot of these issues and already having cases going.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but on top of, the Epstein related stuff, they have, all these riots that have been happening. We've got, the questionable, election results of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, there's so much going on right now on top of having to clear out one third of the staffing at the Civil Rights Division. Then we have the Southern District of New York. They found another million documents that they were hiding. And then I heard that they found another few million on top of those documents that they were hiding. So, I mean, I understand everybody's frustration, but I want this done right. We
Mm-hmm.
are taking down a multi-millennia old death cult. I want it done right. I want to make sure that this doesn't just last for the next administration or two.
Mm,
I want it to last for generations, centuries, millennia. I
mm,
want to make sure that we can cleanse this disease out and that humanity can truly flourish without them. And the way that we do that is by getting the entire networks. Because as I said before, once you cut off one head of the Hydra,
another
three of
one.
them will come back.
Mm,
So we need to get the entire network of everybody who might pop up to try and take their place. So
mm,
while we're not getting the arrest that we want now, there's a good reason why. So, I mean, like I said, I understand people's frustration and lack of patience,
right.
but if we want to be able to smoke out everybody who's orchestrating this,
Mm,
that's the key. We need to hold accountable the people who are orchestrating this because the people who are blackmailed, forced, manipulated, they deserve understanding. They deserve compassion. They deserve leniency.
right.
But the
Yeah.
people who are orchestrating this, we need to hold them all to account to the highest degree possible. And the only way by doing that is patience and getting everything that we can and getting it done right.
Yeah, because obviously, if it's not done right, then you have a bunch of wiggle room and people can just wiggle through that. But speaking of wiggle, I about poorest segue I've ever given. But anyway, it's it's the stuff-
You're breaking up. I'm sorry. You just lagged up. Is it me or
yeah,
you? Uh, is it me
me.
or you? I don't know.
Might be an internet thing. But I'm still a yapping, so I can hear you just
I
fine.
think you're back now.
Yeah, you're fine though. I think it might be an internet thing. But regardless, I still set some time for me and my guests to promote our stuff. So I only have your Twitter, but if you have anything else you'd like to promote, the floor is yours, young lady.
Um, yes, I have a Substack. Gosh, it's either Jennifer.Guskin at Substack or Jennifer Guskin at Substack. Um, yeah, that's primarily where I am is X and Substack. I don't really deviate outside of that much, though I probably should branch out more.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously your goal is to get your story out there, and it's an important one. But it's always the avenues you have to use to kind of get that out there, which is kind of difficult in itself, especially when you look towards like trying to use like YouTube or something, and it just like they just like they don't like that stuff. But
Facebook is painful. Facebook is very painful.
I believe it. I mean they're so I've heard the stories. I've heard the stories for some people, so there's that. But anyway, her Twitter X link is right there, and it'll be both on the Rumble side and the YouTube side because that's where I stream. So I'm not gonna put it on one end or the other. But anyway, for my and of course, I think your Substack is on there too, right? Or is it buried?
Um, I It depends on how X is feeling because they don't like Substack. So sometimes if I
Interesting.
post my X, or I'm sorry, sometimes if I post my Substack, it'll show. Sometimes it won't.
Do you post it? Do you post your link to it in the first post? So
Mm,
when you make a post, right? Do you post your Substack link in that first post or no?
Not typically, no.
Okay.
I probably should put that in my pin post, though. I will do that. Thank you.
Well, no, the reason I asked because a while back I learned that X doesn't like links in the first post. Trying to keep people on their platform. So the best way to do it is to put the link, whatever the link is, doesn't matter, in the second post because it's more of a reply and all this stuff. Otherwise, your stuff
Like to
doesn't
thread
get.
it, to
Yeah,
make it into a thread.
you
Got
have
it.
to thread
Got
it.
it.
Otherwise, it doesn't get
Okay.
seen. It's an X thing. I don't know who said it, but I learned about it. I'm like, well, that just sucks. But it has come to appearance that if you do post your link within your first post, it doesn't get seen as much. So there's that. Again, it is a
Good
business
to know.
after all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But regardless of that, her X is there, and I'm sure you can find her Substack in there too. But from my end of things, what What happened to my someone took my banner. Oh no, there it is. All right, show. It's not showing. Why is it? There we go. Oh my goodness. Anyway, technical difficulties. Anyway, whether you're whether you're on the Rumble side or whether you're on the YouTube side, doesn't matter which side you're on, because I stream both. Okay. Uh, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like and the content, leaving a comment or follow, anything that helps with the engagement factor is much appreciated, because not only is it being seen more, okay, like all content creators, all right. If a content creator says they don't want to be seen, they're lying or they're telling the truth on air, and that's not a good thing. Um, but the other part is it also helps in having other people on, like Jen, like Tomby, like so many other people. Again, having over 300 various guests. All right, it's not, yeah, not an easy task, but it shows you that there's a lot of people we're talking to. So there is that. But any help with engagement on either the Rumble side or YouTube side, doesn't matter which side, is much appreciated. And yeah, get off, get off, get off, get off.
Shoot.
I'm pressing the button, it won't do anything. Oh man, am I gonna have to? No. Give me 1 second. Hold on. If I have to refresh this page, so help me. Oh, there we go. I had it. Oh my.
Hold for processing.
Yeah, I I think you froze. Oh,
Oh, am I frozen?
yeah, I think you froze. But you're back. I can hear you. It's
Okay.
internet stuff.
Am I unfrozen?
No, you're unfrozen. Yes, you're unfrozen. They said, "Are you frozen?" I'm like, sort of. But but anyway, if you wanna find out where else I'm at, you can go to uh there. There we go. That's the link right there. I think it's just internet hiccups. You can go to my link right there. I have my Twitter X in there. I have my email in there. I have a link to Discord for communication in there. I just have my Rumble and YouTube links are in there too. Again, it's all my stuff congregated. Linktree is so wonderful. It allows all your many links to be in one area. Because I remember at one point in my description, I had like 6 to 7 links. I'm like, no, gotta get one link for all of this, and that's what this is for. So and everything is pretty much in there for that. And of course, I do promote a few things first before we get back to it. Just as a quickity spickety. I'm gonna start rhyming at the end of it, and people are like, I don't need to hear this. But but anyway, so I am in Proton's partner program, and what Proton is, it's a privacy oriented company. They have a lot of things privacy oriented. They're Proton Mail, Proton Pass, Proton Drive, Proton VPN, and a whole assortment of goodies. I promote their Proton Unlimited plan because it encompasses all that Swedish stuff. But you can go to that link, you can check it out for yourself. And if you are very privacy oriented, or if you want more privacy for yourself, again, nothing on the internet is 100%, so please do not take it as 100%. But take it as they try real hard to make sure it's privacy first for you. So you can go to that link there. I use it myself on a daily basis, and I have no complaints, literally, because I can just as a side note, all right? So I have movies from a long time ago that I've downloaded, and I've put them into my Proton Drive, and I can watch from my Proton Drive. So let's just put it that way, okay? But you can hear that from me though. I don't know who you're talking about. It's me. But, but anyway, um, just give it a look. If you don't want to, that's fine. But I promote it because at the end of the day, I think people, after you've heard the stories of a bank getting hacked, or Target getting hacked, right? Well, that was what, ages ago, and passwords and credit card numbers were leaked. I think you would need to use a little something that's benefit for you. So there you go for that. And if you do, you get a discount for it. You're welcome. All right. But people are like, that's not good enough. I said, well, you know what? Stop asking. I'm joking. But anyway, for my last one, of course, I promote something else. Um, It's a little different, but I have tried it and I enjoy it. So there's this place called Biltong USA. They have a website online, but they also actually have a store in Texas. So if you're in Texas, actually, just a show right there. Oop.
What is biltong? I've heard about it, but I don't know what it is.
So biltong, and just try to keep it simplified, is biltong is a South African snack. It's basically a dried meat, so like dried Angus, dried Wagyu. Oh, you know what? Instead of describing it to you, let me just show you what it looks like, so you have a better
Is it
idea.
kind of like a almost like a jerky kinda?
It's in a sense yes, but it is more healthier than a jerky because it is air dried and it has fewer ingredients, mind you. S-
Oh,
So give me 1 second, and I shall show you the website. So here's the website, right? This is the website, and that on that plate right there, that is biltong, right there, right? Um,
okay.
this over here is biltong. Now I'm not sure if this is Angus or Wagyu, but they do different meats. They've got a bison one I've tried, so it's pretty good. Um, let's go here. So this is all their non-spicy biltong right here. And I know the prices are a bit big, but those are for like the bigger chunks. But you can get smaller ends and stuff. And I've tried a few before. Their peri peri is spicy, but it's not too bad. Their bison I've tried as well. It's pretty good. But at the end of the day, it's just they have given me, they've paid me a kindness, and I'm just trying to pay that kindness back. And I've bought from them many a times, and again, they are located in Texas, and it's a husband and wife. It is a husband and wife who do this on a daily. They don't. I believe it's just them and their children that are doing this. It's just that.
That
Yeah.
is the best. That is the best type of business. I love those.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really do.
I've had the actual husband. His name is Anton. He's the one from actual South Africa. So he brought that over.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. His wife is American, and but yeah, I just promote it for because I bought it. I've eaten it. I will say this though, I did take some of this to a family Christmas, and a big chunk of them didn't like it. Just just 'cause it was something new. But I will tell you this, like just kind of give you an idea of the ingredients, and let's go to the Angus, just to give you an idea. But as you can see here, the ingredients are pretty much this: 1% coriander, Celtic salt, spices, and natural flavorings. That's it. That's it. I know, it's a little too. Hold on. There we go.
Oh, I can see it. I can see it.
So you can
That's
see
awesome.
that's all the ingredients, and then of course it's like vinegar. It is Angus beef and vinegar, and then the spices. But that's pretty much it. That's probably more healthy to you than actual beef jerky you buy in stores like the Jack Links or whatever. So much
Mm.
sugar, so much salt. They just, it's great for you and all that stuff. So if you're ever interested, you can go to that link up there. And if you want, you can use that code DARA for 10% off the wholesale or all that's in the cart. Because sometimes people say, "What's wholesale?" It's like it's not everything in the house. All right, it's just everything in the cart. But yes, they're real nice people, and I just promote because I enjoy their stuff, and it's a family business. It's a family business, so why not? It's a not just a family business, but it is a American made business, even though the husband is from South Africa. So there's that. But yeah, I appreciate all who even give it a look, because I don't know if I get anything for it, but I promote it anyway. So there you go. People are like, what do you get out of it? Um, I thank you, I guess. I don't.
Maybe something extra thrown in your biltong package?
I don't.
I don't know.
I have no idea. But yeah, they it's really great, and the husband, Anton, is he works with other different like small content creators, but it really is an American made sort of thing, even though it's South African tradition. But there goes that. Uh, but yeah, I think that what you're doing is pretty awesome. I know there are other charities and stuff, but obviously Operation Underground Railroad, but there are more than that, trying to rescue children from stuff that was similar to your instance. Maybe not like exactly, but similar enough that um, it's not a pretty thing. Obviously, the movie Sound of Freedom that came out years ago, um, and that shined a light on the issue, but there's still plenty of it out there. It's insane the stories you hear. Like there was a family friend who was telling us like they're within the area there are kids who were taken uh, you know, I can't remember the number, but it's like over a certain period of time, a lot of kids are taken, and it's such a sad state of affairs because it's just like, um, I will say that there have been some showings of videos out there, like in a different country, but you have to be careful because you never know if they're real or staged. Because
Right.
there was one that was actually staged, I believe, and it kind of like, oh well, I thought that was real. It's like, nope. Mm-mm. So I gotta be careful about that. Gotta be
Yeah.
careful about that. So, but I think it's really important um, in what you're doing because while there are many like you who are speaking out, and I think many of them have been the Epstein stuff. Many of them are not. Many are probably similar situation where parents. What was it? I remember the story. It was the what was it? The gay couple, right? There was a gay couple somewhere. I can't remember if it was like Texas or somewhere else where they were fostering kids or something like that, and they ended up abusing
Yeah.
them. Yep,
Yeah.
abusing them sexually,
And
and
unfortunately, that is far too common where people, couples in general will adopt children for the purposes of abusing us. I mean, that's literally what, happened to me. I was adopted for the purposes of being trafficked.
mm,
So, I mean, it's really horrible because they will take children from loving, kind, caring, compassionate families under
mhm,
they know they're BS circumstances. They know they're completely fraudulent
mhm,
and to place them with couples that, frankly, I think that a lot of the times that these supervisors who are, organizing these adoptions, I think, they know. I think
mhm.
in a lot of cases they are well aware, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing because like I have a sibling who's fostering kids, and going through that process. Now, some states are better than others, obviously, because each state has different rulings and whatnot. But I mean, they are, they still have to respond to the parents, the biological parents, and all that stuff. Like they cannot get that. They cannot give a child a haircut without that expression to the parents.
And that's
Which,
the way and, a lot of states have similar rules to that,
mm,
across the board. But unfortunately, and, not every case, of course, there are a lot of cases where the foster parents respect those rules,
yeah,
but there are a lot of cases where, unfortunately, they don't.
yeah, and that's, again, she's not one of those because she, had a cousin who was also fostering, an aunt who was also fostering for a period of time, and then they stopped. But for to go through this process is a very difficult thing because they are loving parents. And they just had a kid of their own last year, so they have a kid of their own, and now these four kids that are sort of siblings together, or no, three siblings together. I apologize. And while you're correcting like that, there are good people out there, but also bad people who take advantage of the system, and they kind of screw over those good people like that. And of
Right.
course, the rules and stuff that are set up differently in each state don't kind of help either. Even though some states do try to try as many times to get the kids back to the biological parents, but in this case it's more like the parents were druggies, and so you kind of have that thing where it's like, mm,
Well, and, unfortunately, we come to a situation of would it be easy, like, would it be easier to get the parents off of drugs if they were in a better and more stable situation and to be able to reunify the parents with the children?
Mm,
I mean, I know that, and in many cases, not all, of course, but a lot of people get addicted to drugs due to like injuries or something like that, and they're prescribed, pain management medication that, you know, whatever reason, it's either cut off too early or they get addicted or
yeah.
something like that. So, I mean, we come to another situation of, had the addiction been managed, had whatever, the pain, whatever cause for, the addiction, in many cases, the pain management, had it
Mm,
been handled properly and had, the addict had the proper support system, then the children might not have had to be taken away in the first place, you know?
mm. Well, it's been also when you talk about the medication stuff, it's a funny thing because there's been that talk of like doctors who overprescribe or prescribe the wrong medication or keep prescribing. And sometimes it's by a total, not by intention, but sometimes it's by total accident or just trying to, get them out or whatever. Because as an example, like this is because I had to get my wisdom teeth pulled out. And so I've never been one to uh, go overboard. But I was prescribed hydrocodone and then a high dosage of ibuprofen because teeth get pulled out, all this stuff. I only needed for like the first day, and I was like, I was good. But you don't want to be an individual who develops the addiction from those kind of medications, and it's a sad fate when people do something as simple as what not morphine. There's maybe Valium, some kind of strong painkiller, or yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and unfortunately, I think, like you said, that is also a big contributing factor in, these CPS removals and stuff like that.
mm,
I can't help but wonder, how often, when people become addicted and have their children removed, I can't help but wonder how often that they were specifically targeted by certain people to worsen their addiction and to deepen their addiction and to pull
mm,
them further away from their support system and to push them down and further down the darker paths as well.
mm.
So I think it ends up, becoming a multi-pronged issue,
Right.
unfortunately.
Now, are you involved in many other states or just with Washington D.C. per se?
Um, Primarily, I work in the Maryland, DC area.
Mm,
I've kind of expanded my advocacy to the South Carolina and Florida area as well. I've kind of, due to the whole defamation lawfare campaign that's been waged against me,
mm,
I've contacted representatives both in South Carolina and Florida about the subject.
right.
So I've kind of expanded out to those states too.
Mm,
Um, but overall, I primarily try to stay in the DC. I spoke to that White House friend that I mentioned previously,
mm,
the one with the double text message.
mm,
Um, it sounds like I'm making a lot more waves than I even realize I'm making.
mm.
So I'm right now. My goal at this point is I'm going to be moving to DC.
Oh.
Um, yeah, I'm a lot of feelings about it. I would much rather move to Alaska. But,
mm,
I'm more effective in DC, unfortunately.
mm.
So, yeah, I'm in the process of trying to figure out and of looking to where to go in DC.
It's
So that's
expensive as
gonna
heck.
yeah, yeah, unfortunately. I mean, luckily,
Yeah.
because of all the shakeups happening right now in DC, I'm actually able to find somewhat affordable housing.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's taking work and looking for unicorns and stuff like that, but I'm willing to put in the effort. And
Yeah.
the way I see it is, you know, if I end up getting a job at like an actual job working in DC,
Mhm.
then maybe my primary goal with getting a place in DC is due to my lobby work. Uh, um, the group I lobby with, essentially I want other advocates and other groups, combating, human trafficking or helping veterans issues, or,
Mhm.
building awareness of similar subjects, who come to DC, who are, freelance volunteer people with the right reasons.
Right.
Um, Ideally, in a perfect world, I want to be able to have like a basement that I can turn into an apartment-esque type of situation, or
Right.
like a hotel-esque type of situation that has like its own little kitchenette. So that way when people come to lobby for a week or so, they don't have to, eat out every time. They can go to a grocery store and cook their own food and have their own meals, and
Right.
don't have to worry about those absorbent, hotel costs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I want to be able to essentially use that area, to be able to let other advocates be able to, who are lobbying from out of state, be able to sleep for a
Mhm.
while they're getting their work done, while trying to be able to conserve some of their funding. Because if they're for a genuinely good organization, I'm willing to bet the funding is going to be only a lot limited.
Yeah.
So, so I'm hoping that eventually I'll be able to get to the point where I can do that and
Mhm.
kind of set up, like a little lodging type of situation, in part of the house where I live. So I'm hoping
Mhm.
to do that with the move to DC.
Yeah, no good deed goes unpunished, as they say, unfortunately. But it is a nice thought to have, because at least you know why you're doing it, and beyond the scope of trying to. And I know that's I know that's the thing to call it lobbying, but it's not that kind of lobbying. We should put it. It's not
No,
that kind of.
I mean, it's technically lobbying, but I don't get paid anything for it. So it's really what lobbying should be.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't be, multi-million dollar, billion dollar, trillion dollar
Mhm.
corporations throwing money at Congress people saying, "Oh, here's a few $1,000, vote for my stuff."
Yeah.
It should be situations where people with their grievances go to their representatives showing, "Hey, look, these are my grievances. This is why. This is my proof of the grievances. These are my solutions for the grievances.
Mm.
Let's see what we can do to make it happen."
Yeah, exactly. And it seems that it's more of a limited supply thing rather than because I mean, because saying lobbying just sounds like a dirty word that you don't want to say. Um, so do you hear? She was a lobbyer. Oh, 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 oh.
I very it sucks because when I'm talking to these suits, and like
Yeah.
when I'm dealing with the legal stuff and all that kind of stuff, "Oh, I'm a lobbyist in DC." "Oh, she's a lobbyist. Oh, I want to listen. I want to pay attention." But when I'm dealing with normal, everyday, common folk, it's like, "I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate.
There you
I
go.
lobby on behalf of, but I'm a volunteer lobbyist, but I'm an advocate on behalf of." Of trafficked children and their families. Advocate first, lobbyist second.
In this chapter of the book, Jennifer has described, I'm an advocate for one and a lobbyer for other. Thank you very much. Um, you, look, I'm a community bringer. I'm a community bringer. Please, that's what I am. I'm not a lobbyer. Okay. Oh, community bring. God, that should be the.
I'm a solution provider.
Yes, I feel the juices flowing. We really need to come. Need to come up with solution provider. I feel like it's a grade A answer giver. There we are, answer giver. So grade A. you you're gonna come up with so many people like. Okay, hold on. Let me. Are you a lobbyer or are you a community bringer? Look. We're just gonna put that all in one umbrella. That's all it's gonna be. Just all under one umbrella.
Six in one, a half dozen in the other.
Because at a certain point, it's like you do understand why some people are disdain to some certain words. Obviously, if they deal with, Congress and all this stuff, and then why people who are in Congress almost is a weird thing. They're disdain to the things that are ground level sort of wording, which is kind of weird because they kind of started out there, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right. Right.
know,
It really shows you the control just one or two words can have over the psyche.
yeah. Well, and not only that, but it just kind of shows you what kind of field the whole of the house and all that stuff is, all the politicians there, basically, because it is a field. While there are some good people in it, they're pretty much overshadowed by all the corrupted people who've been there for a little too long, right? We who was the I'm trying to think of the one Congress lady, Diane
Feinstein.
Feinstein, that's right. That lady was pretty much being wheeled around in a wheelchair. Like, you don't need people like Nancy Pelosi is so old. Look,
Mitch McConnell.
well, I think Mitch McConnell is already on his way out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we need more. Like, well, it's we. I'm sorry, I'm going to call a spade a spade. We need to get less of these geriatric patients out. Like, they need to be gone. Like, they don't represent us. They have no idea what's really going on. But it's really fascinating. One of my recent trips to DC,
Mhm.
last month actually, we went to the Capitol, and we ended up meeting one of the staffers there to get to the
Oh.
Capitol.
Mhm.
And as we're going through, he was telling me a little bit about what he does, senior advisor for a Democrat representative in New Jersey. So I was like, oh, okay, it's interesting,
Mhm.
okay, we talked a little bit.
Mhm.
And then we get to an area, kind of sort of in the Capitol, kind of sort of under the Capitol,
Right.
um, where we get there, and there's a bunch of stairs that go around in an oval shape, and we're at the top of the stairs, and you can look up, and we can see it's glass, and I can look
Mm.
up and I can see the Capitol dome above us. And as I'm looking at the Capitol dome, he says something along the lines of, there's a lot of conversations going on underground where a lot of conversations with both parties coming together underground.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, so, like we said before, there's definitely, I think the vast majority of them are good people
Mhm.
who got stuck in a bad situation under the thumb of bribery, blackmail, and threats.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them, see an opportunity to get this information to the public to free themselves and everybody
Mhm.
from the bribery, blackmail, and threats.
Mhm.
Um, and when people say it's a uniparty, yes, it is a uniparty. There is no, Democrat or Republican. They're all
Mhm.
the same people. They all, work for the same people, respond to the same people, are
Mhm.
funded by the same people, and are blackmailed by the same people.
I knew it. It was China all along. I knew it.
It's always China.
It's
Well, a fun little thing that I came up with China
Mhm.
is China, obviously spelled China. If
Yeah.
you take out the C, or I'm sorry, if you take out the H and the N, it
Mhm.
becomes CIA.
So it's not. There's no China. It's the CIA.
CIA proxy state, aren't they all at this point?
Oh, just about. Just about. Hey,
Various, various, they're all various degree of, compromised, organization manipulating things.
Mhm.
Whether it's the CIA, Mossad, MI6, it's all the same bird, different breed.
I almost thought you said massage. That would have been a different. That a different group right there.
That's an agency I'd like. Where can I work? Where can I sign up for that agency?
The masseuse group is coming through. You must get them out.
No, invite the masseuses in. Come, masseuses. We could use more masseuses.
It costs a 1 hour is $100. It almost feels like that at sometimes, but yeah, I think politics in its own right is filled with a bunch of people with ideas, but a majority of it is just bad people who want to continue the poor ways of making things better. And obviously, you're never truly going to get rid of the corruption because it's just an ever it's what's a good way of describe it? It's sort of like one of those roots that you try to dig out as much as you can, and then it comes back. I think there's one that's called kudzu. Kudzu. It's very viney sort of thing, and you could try to take it away, but if you leave just a little behind, it'll be back. It's like an invasive species vine.
Yeah,
So you have something like that. It's like an invasive species that even if you take as much as you can out, there's always going to be that one, and it'll come swooping right back in, given enough time. And that's a problem with what,
exactly.
yeah, and that's a problem with what I
Exactly.
have.
And I think that's also why it's so important that we take our time with this, because I agree with you. No matter what we do, no matter how well we cleanse everything up,
Mm,
there's always going to be somebody who wants to take control over things for malicious and selfish purposes.
yeah.
What we need to do, and what I'm a big proponent of, is the more transparency we have, the
Mm,
harder it is for the corrupt people to hide in the shadows.
mm,
And I think that's really, a big thing that we need to focus on. To go back to another subject we were talking about before with
mm,
the misallocation of funds.
mm,
I think that really a big thing that we need to do is we need to require that, any federal and or state funding needs to be publicly accounted for in a search engine where the public can have access to
mm,
see where our money is going. Because like I said, corruption is able to hide in the shadows. The vast majority of these enterprises,
mm,
whether it's human child trafficking, drug trafficking, and anything in general, at
mm,
the end of the day, almost all of it is being funded via money laundering.
mm.
And if we had more transparency on where our money is going, it would be far more difficult for for any organization or individual to be able to get to the point that it has in the past.
Yeah, only problem is you have to get to that actual point before you can get to the actual point, which is the funnier part. And gaming chat says politics, it's all talk, no action. Things happen with or without our endorsement, which is pretty much true. Because it doesn't matter if it's on a local level to a federal level, you do have this thing where um, rules are in place for to create friction so that we have at least some sort of semblance of civility. Only problem is though there are people who say, rules. I dated a girl named Rules once. It was all right, but I told her it's not going to work out. Um, so you.
Well, it's interesting, it's unfortunate. Rules are supposed to be to protect people,
Mhm,
and to keep people from getting hurt.
mhm,
However, unfortunately, we are now in the case where our rule book is being written by the criminals for the intent and purpose of making it harder for us to hold them accountable for their criminality.
mhm,
I think that's one thing that very much needs to be addressed, because I believe the U.S. is the, if not one of, the countries with the most laws on the books, on the planet.
mhm,
And I think that, we very much need to address, so one, how many rules that we have, and two, who is making those rules and the transparency behind it. Because, for example, I'm actually finding myself an increasingly larger proponent of requiring elected officials, government officials, or officials serving in the government in any capacity
mhm.
to have to undergo mental health and cognitive testing.
That'll go well. That'll go real well. I was like, oh, you want me to take a test? I already passed. Yeah, that's not gonna
I
go well.
mean, I think, there needs to be situations where if you're, a public official, that, degrees of your funding is public.
Mm,
Degrees of your banking, the way that you spend your money,
mhm,
on a personal level should be made public. Because I think, and, granted, this is probably controversial, but I think that
mm.
if you're going to be in a situation where if you are managing the public's money, then you need to be able to prove to the public that you can manage your own money.
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to put it because um I mean you could be an individual who mismanages money on an individual level, and you try to go for something that's dealing with a lot more money, um, it's it's that thing of you truly get to see kind of the test the person like candy, and obviously they're not doing it directly, right? There's a treasury and all that stuff, so there's another side to that too. But yeah, you do have that conjunction of smaller and gaming chat. Oh nope, hold on. Gaming chat says you do know that would disqualify more women than men, so it's definitely maybe because it seems like there's more men and stuff, but um it's just that sounds like, but it's an idea that'll never go because no one wants to be that responsible. See, that's the part of it, right? When you try to make people more responsible for the things that they do, they find ways to become less responsible, which is what they
Right.
actually want to do, which is the ironic part of this all. you you have people who more than that want to lessen their responsibility while taking in more, right? Like,
Right. They want the control, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with the control.
right. Well, I mean, if just as a great example, right? You have people who, you have like a work job. You have people who would rather just to collect their paycheck rather than work to collect their paycheck in that
Right.
sense of it. And so you do kind of have that where, I mean, the stories of like what Congress, what is it? Congress appropriates their uh, pay or whatever and all that stuff, and they can up their pay, but they don't handle the purse strings very well, if that makes sense.
Right.
um and so you just have this sort of thing where you have a bunch of people who supposedly are working together, which in a degree they are, but not in the best way for resolving. Because I mean, what was it, how many days were we in shutdown? It had to be over a month at least.
Gosh, I think it was a little over 30 days, roughly.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
So you had over 30 days of government shutdown. Did you really notice anything different?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing different I noticed was that the halls of Congress were less busy.
It goes to show you how busy they really are.
I'm just saying.
Oh goodness, that one's hilarious though. But yeah, it just kind of showed that what are we really dealing with, and who's really for making America great as it proposes. Because right now it just doesn't. It seems like a lot of, like Gaming Chad said, a lot of talk, no action. Um, and that's the thing that's going to drive the. Um, I know people are like, oh, people were acting like the shutdown was the end of the world, while many people are like, wow, finally a vacation from our own government. But that's a bigger problem. Is you the bigger problem is I think it's going to take a majority of America to make that correction rather than rely on supposed, as I learned from the Schoolhouse of Rock, just saying, the three ring circus, um, which, which it basically is. Um, but I
Well, I mean,
just
technically, isn't a large group of monkeys called a Congress?
see now I think you're just making words up at this point. I don't know.
No, it's there. I don't remember what animal it is. I apologize,
Uh,
but I believe it's a large group of like a certain type of monkeys is called a Congress.
Group
I
of
forget which
monkeys.
animal it is. I apologize.
No, I'll look it
Maybe
up.
baboon, something
Maybe
like
by
that.
mission community. Uh, no. Group. What animal is called a group of I don't want to say convict.
Baboons.
Congress.
It's commonly under baboons, but it's also used for salamanders, owls, or ravens.
No, it says no animals officially called a group of Congress. The term Congress is not a standard collective noun for any animal species. Oh yeah, I see the while the term Congress is frequently. Oh, hold on, I'll show people so that we can have a clear look at what. Nope, that's the wrong thing. We have a clear look of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I
So
looked up large group of animals called Congress.
while and it's a group of is a troop according to authoritative sources as the Oxford dictionaries and primatologists like Shirley Strum, director of a Sao Giro Baboon Project in Kenya. While the term Congress is frequently used in internet memes and jokes, often as a satirical comparison between baboon behavior and the U.S. Congress, it is not an officially recognized collective noun for baboons in zoological or scientific literature. The meme likely originated from a chain email. Oh, that's an old term right there. And has since been widely circulated, but experts confirm that troop is the correct term. Therefore, no animal is officially, or animal group is officially called a group of Congress. So, yes, it's used for,
Funny.
that's used for
Yeah,
about,
it originated from like meme culture. That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah, no, that's the fun part right there when it comes to meme
That's
culture.
funny because Google says it most commonly refers to a baboon, though it's also used for salamanders, owls, or ravens.
Mm. Or Google's
That's,
Google's wrong. Don't listen to Google. Lies,
I
lies.
know. Google's terrible. It really is, though. I prefer Grok. Grok is much better than Google.
And you can have fun with that. Depending on who you ask. But Gaming Chat said the shutdown happened exactly when I came to the US. The only thing I noticed is that a lot of public buildings and tourist locations were shut. Yes, because that's under government. Like Yellowstone would be
Yes.
shut down. Um,
Hmm.
and all that stuff. But that's a long story right there. If not, it needs to be. Schumer, meaning a good for nothing vagabond. There you go. A new name for Schumer right there. Good for nothing vagabond. And gaming chat is so if pro is the opposite of con, that isn't progress the opposite of Congress. Ah! Ah!
Yeah.
Ah! Look
Yeah.
at look at that. We got a wordsmith in the chat right there. And he's a bit from a different country. So there you go.
That's
Bernier,
a
of
very good
course.
point.
And Grok, of course, Alaska Man Jeff, I hear you. But yeah, that's pretty funny. So if pro is the opposite of con, then is it progress? Well, you could say is doesn't that mean that Congress itself is a con because it doesn't do very much other than what benefits itself. So that kind of brings up the real question is we know that back when the United States had begun, that it was done under different circumstances, different thought process and whatnot. And Congress was originally called what was it called? It was something else before it became Congress. It was Congressional State or something like that. Um, but when it became Congress, it was still in that beginning stages of what it was meant to be because a lot of the forefathers were still alive, and then it kind of changes over time. And so you see this distortion of what it's meant to be or what it's supposed to be. Like again, there are three branches within the government: executive, judicial, and legislative. And we all know legislative is to write the rules, judiciary is to
Enforce them
enforce them, and the executive is to, I think that's executive is to enforce them as well.
is to is to more or less oversee and make sure the other two are working properly, I guess.
No, well, judiciary is more like a referee. Judiciary would be more like a referee, and executive is like these are the rules we execute, right? Executive execute, we execute them, and so that's what it was originally supposed to be. But now that we've had many many moons after that period of time, now we have a very different sense of what Congress, the executive, and judiciary is supposed to be because they just aren't. Again, we're dealing with human beings on the very base level. At the end of the day, we're dealing with human beings, and it all takes is one to kind of get in there and change it up. Um,
Right.
and and gaming Chad says the UK wants to burn Grok because the Cure star bikini pictures. No one wants to see an old man in bikini pictures. That's just making me sick.
I'm more all about the Marco Rubio memes. Those are beautiful.
Memes are a wonderful thing. I've actually made some myself in the past. You get yourself the right picture, and you can add any wording to it, almost any wording to it. Just depends on what's the look of it. But yeah, I really think if people in America want a deeper, meaningful change, then they're really going to have to be the ones to step up and do it, because you can't rely on Congress to do it, and you can't rely on whatever the voting system is now to do it, because of so many points of failure, right? Points of
Right,
failure. Well, you're talking about the 2020 election and all this stuff. You have many points of failure that can happen, and it can happen with any, like in the UK, right? You could have points of failure for voting. How do we know one vote equals one vote and all that stuff? I'm all
right.
for using some technologies like blockchain to kind of do that, but still, people are people at the end of the day. Um, but anyway, it is getting at the top of the hour again, and so we're gonna start winding down, because one, I have to set up for tomorrow, and two, I have to get going to bed, because I do work in the morning. So not an excuse; it's actually what it is. So, but anyway, oh, romance. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Well, thank you, Gamey Chad, for being so
Hi,
nice.
Chad. Nice to meet you.
Yes, and I believe he's oh Sweden. I believe he's from Sweden. I'm pretty sure he's gonna yell at me for
Oh,
being wrong. Yes. So I've had him on before. He's a nice guy. He's very naughty. He can be very naughty, but I'll hope he behaves himself. Um,
well, I mean, you'd expect that from somebody from the UK.
uh, well, no, I wouldn't expect him from the UK, because if he's from, if I'm correct, and he's from Sweden, then he's more neutral state. But what do I
I
know?
don't know. They can get pretty wild over there.
Hey, you know what? When I saw the interview thing between Alex Skarsgård and his dad. They're very open about what Netherlands. That's right. I'm sorry, Netherlands. Well, funny enough, I know a lady who lives in the Netherlands, Gaming Chad. So that's two people from the Netherlands I know. Um, but yeah, that was a very open experience. But anyway, so what happens is again we do the promotional stuff, and then we'll end now on our few things. So, uh, let me get to there we go. So there's the ladies link. If the lady would like to promote herself, the floor is hers.
No, just if you want to see it, I'm working on most of my stuff is on either X or Substack, x.com/CT Survivor 17. CT is child trafficking, Survivor 17. I'm also on Substack, either Jennifer.Guskin at Substack.com or Jennifer Guskin at Substack.com. And Dara, thank you for having me on again. It's great to be back. It's been far
Always.
too long,
Yes.
and we should definitely do this again much sooner than last time, please.
Well, but you've also been a very busy lady doing very important things. So sometimes when the time comes for it, it happens. But I
Yes, sir, that it
digress.
does.
Yeah. But I digress, though. There are a lot of people to get to talk to, and there's only so much time in a day. But I do try to bring people back. So there is that. But of course, and again, the ladies' links will be on both the Rumble side and YouTube side, because those are the places I stream my stuff to. So yes, I know another person from the Netherlands. But let me go back. Oh, that's right. For my end of things, for those who are here, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, sharing the content, leaving a comment or follow, please, dear Lord. It helps with being seen more, like the blind man will seen again. But it also helps in having other people on, like Jen, like Gaming Chad, like Alaska Man Jeff, like so many other people, over 300 various guests, creator or not, have been on, and I'm looking forward to whether I make it to 400, 500, 600. Who knows how long this thing's going on, but there are so many people, and I have so many opportunities, and I enjoy them all the same. So there is that, and thank you on either end, whether it be the Rumble side or YouTube side. It is much appreciated. And of course, now I gotta go find my links. All right, there's my link tree right there. You can go there. You'll find my email, you'll find my Twitter X, you'll find a link to communicate on Discord. You'll also find the Rumble and YouTube links as well. It's just there to congregate all the links I have, but also to pinpoint you to the places where I'm at because, again, I enjoy doing what I do, but there are many points of communication to have. If Twitter X doesn't work for you, guess what? There's Discord and email. But I mostly communicate on Twitter X because it's just where pretty much everyone's at. So there's that. And quickly going through, I am part of Proton's partner program. I am promoting Proton Limited. It includes the suite of Proton Mail, Proton VPN, Proton Drive, Proton Pass. If you've never checked it out before, the link is right there. It will give more detail. I'd like to sit here for the next hour and explain to you how wonderful, how beautiful it is. But sometimes the best experience is the one you have yourself. And I use it every day. Because I enjoy a little more privacy than others. But it also, again, this is the internet, so nothing's 100%. But I enjoy being able to promote such a privacy to others because at the end of the day, I believe people want to protect your stuff, protect your passwords, and all that. And Proton does a pretty great job with that. If you haven't checked it out, it's right there. If you do take up on the offer, then at least you get, I think, I'll have to correct it, but I think it's up to 30% now that you can get off. So, again, links right there. Check it out. More details within. I bet you'll be surprised if you give it a look. If not, that's okay too. I promote it for the benefit of all, not for the benefit of self. And of course, the last thing I'll promote before we hand off into the setting sun, even though it's just the Earth spinning, so it's not really setting. So someone's gonna be like, "Wait a second," on the next thing. But I also promote, I also promote biltong right here. For those who don't know, biltong is a South African snack, meat snack, basically. A lot healthier than store-bought beef jerky. It's done by a husband and wife in Texas. It is a family business. I've bought their stuff many times. And I don't know if I get anything out of it other than the stuff I've bought, but I do promote it because they've shown me a kindness. They actually sent me some things the first time around just to try it out, and I've been hooked ever since. I've shared it with some family members, and they were like, meh. So there is that. But at the end of the day, you can only do so much. So go to the link is right there. Give it a look. If not, that's fine too. But if you do decide to buy something, guess what? You can save 10% off using code DARA for the wholesale. That's right. All in the cart, 10% off. You'll see how many pennies you'll get to save. But I mean, 10% is 10%. So it's not 50%. Don't ask. I don't have that kind of discount. Uh, thank you, Chad. I'm grateful for my 5-star Yelp review. Much appreciated. All right. So the one thing tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, I will have on the Master Hobo. Met him through the Twitter X side, so he'll be on tomorrow at then. And of course, the last thing before we go with my wonderful guest, who is always welcome to come back, is something I like to call questions from a hat. Yeah. So what happens is about half from Mumble, and I put some questions inside, and what happens is that my guest, the lovely,
Hold on. A
the,
steady.
the lovely Jen, gets 2 freebie questions. That's right. I'm so generous. The angels weep for how generous I am. Um, but if you're on the Rumble side, you can give a Rumble rant or whatever for to have another question pulled out. Now I am on YouTube, but I'm not monetized, so sorry YouTube. It is what it is. But again, Rumble doesn't matter the amount. You can give me a one. I've had people spam me the $1 rants. That's okay. But at the end of the day, let's get started. Are you ready, Miss Jen?
Yes, sir.
I think there've been. I don't know if I did with you last time, but we're gonna see where it goes. All right. All right, first question right here. Let's see what it says. The question is, oh, here we go. Do you tip or not? And if so, do you tip more than usual?
Yes, I do tip, and I tip. I try to tip more than usual. I try to tip it based on service.
That's understandable.
So usually I'll try to, tip at the minimum if the service is, basic. But
Mm,
I feel like the service is better, then I'll give more.
there you go. Judged based on the service, not because of how you feel. That's the true point right there. Because I used to do pizza delivery, so I've been on that side of things. So a little can go a long way. But I will say there are some bad servers out there. You just have to be careful. Or pizza deliveries. I don't know. Um, Last question, unless someone gives a rumble rant. You just got $1 million tax free. Wouldn't we all like that? What's the first thing you do with it?
I get a giant plot of land and build as many feasible possible, viable tiny homes on it to try and help other survivors and or veterans that have gone through something similar.
Hmm. See, now I thought you would have been like, "Hey, so I'm gonna build this wall with some towers. You try to come close, one of those towers is gonna find you." Um,
Now, in another world, I would absolutely take that $1 million, move to Alaska, build my own ice wall. But in this world, no, I would use it to try and help other people who have gone through something similar.
Well, let me tell you of a man I know from Alaska. So you would probably perk up his ears if he knew you'd come to Alaska, because he's showing some pictures and stuff. Uh, and oh, look at him, his tip. Now I think you would use some of that for yourself, Gaming Chad. I think I'd be like last on the list. Gaming Chad has bills to pay, and he's got to pay them first. So there is that. But I'll take the sentiment. I appreciate it. But no, Alaska Man Jeff is always saying, there have been people who vacationed up to Alaska, and many of them have moved up there because of the beautiful scenery. Now, I'm not kind of looking forward to like -40 winter, so there's kind of that kind of keeps me away, and it's not like big. eh, I've talked to another person from Alaska, and they call this down here the lower 48. So not really that's what they call it. That's what they call the lower 48. Um, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to like -40-degree weather just to like survive.
See, I'm the person that, I'm okay with -40 as long as there's a lot of snow along with it. If it is that cold and there is no snow, don't waste my time. But if there is snow, it is beautiful and calm and peaceful and quiet and just bliss. So I can tolerate if there's snow. If there's no snow, get out of my way. No. Oh,
Snow, great. No snow, motherfucker, get out of my way.
get the fuck out of here.
Get out of here. But yeah, plenty. I bet there's plenty of land you could find up there. But no, that does sound like a good idea. I mean, I know there's certainly a lot of veterans and stuff and people of that caliber who could use the space. Definitely, probably would still need um, mental help, like therapy and whatnot. But at the end of the day, being away in nature with other people like could be a more
It would
beneficial.
be a therapy in its own right.
Yeah, especially since you're getting away from the cities and the noise. And not that I'm saying all cities are bad, because if something happens to me, I'd like the hospital, the
I
uh,
mean, they're fun to visit. That's, great. But, if you've been through some severe trauma, you want to get away from the city.
yeah, less noise, more peace,
More nature.
more nature. That's right. When they say touch grass, they were running right in it. And then
Yep. Yep.
a few twigs and some mud too, but we don't talk about that. But anyway, again tomorrow 7 p.m. Eastern for me and Master Hobo coming on. Hope to see y'all there for that one. Of course, big shout out to the chat for all being here. Gaming Chad, Alaska Man Jeff, let's see, Half Pine was here, the Dev was here, Financial Freedom was here. Sorry to hear that, Financial Freedom. Hope to talk to you soon about that. But all in all, great group of people to come and stop by. I appreciate you all. And of course, thank you to the wonderful Jen, and not only being able to share her story and her work to make a triumph in this madness, but also that the perseverance of it all. Because obviously, there are probably some who would give up in the manner of what you've gone through and not persevere, but you have persevered, and that goes to show for others who are either been in the same boat or um, something of similar feature can help in the long run, because I can't imagine uh, there are numbers put out there every day about the sex trafficking and all that sort of thing, and they're more estimates. They're not the actuality. And the stories, I mean, even just a small smidgen of the stories I've heard from like the Operation Underground Railroad and stuff like that. It's a devastating thing, a very devastating thing. When you hear the term baby factories, that's when you know. That's when you know. And those are a real thing, whether it be here or in another country. Those things are real. And even with one movie trying to shine a light on it, it's never enough to keep it into the public view, because you don't worry about it until it happens to you.
Right.
Mm,
Right. Unfortunately.
mm. And that's the sad part, because it still happens. It still happens. But anyway, you're always welcome to come back, young lady. And I wish for your success, not only in trying to live in Washington, D.C., because that's going to be another story. Uh,
Many stories, I'm sure.
uh, I need a job. Could someone give me a job to pay? But also to the success of what you're trying to accomplish out there, because it's not going to be it's certainly not going to be an easy ride there. And I imagine you've probably had more doors shut in your face than you have had a welcoming hand, basically.
Actually, believe it or not, it's been the opposite. When I first got there, I kind of felt like I was in a school with all the school doors shut. Nobody
Mm,
was in the hallways, nothing. And then the last time I went to DC, a lot of the doors are wide open.
yeah. What? Well, let me put it this way: they're wide open, but people who you can trust in the manner of what you're trying to accomplish. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Well, overall, people are actually very receptive. I would say probably maybe one or two out of every 10 aren't receptive.
Hmm.
But the vast majority of the people, by the time I'm done talking about the blackmail aspect and I say, "Can I give you my card?" A lot of them are like, "Yes, yes, absolutely. I'd love to take your card, please."
Hmm.
So it's honestly a lot of people want to break free. A lot of people want to, be able to start healing, and I think we have a real chance.
Yeah, and that'll be all. It starts with one area, but it's still gonna be it's certainly gonna take a group or more to make the sort of impossible possible. Because
Yeah.
it's just not. There's still so much wrong, and it gets turned a blind eye to just because it's not affecting an individual. So, or many individuals, sorry. But anyway, again, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern with Master Hobo. And of course, I end the show with One Day With You by Pogo. And again, if you like Pogo stuff, get Enrollable. Uh, that'll be, yeah, we already talked about expanding outward, but that'll be up to her. So thank you for that, Gaming Chan. But again, One Day With You by Pogo. If you want to see more of Pogo stuff, the link is in the description down below, because I do like using this stuff, but hasn't created in a while. So there we go. But anyway, guys, see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your night. Bye, guys.